All right, I am here with Chelsea Bucklew, who gave a presentation to our brokerage about 2 months ago, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it was a really good presentation. She teaches social media habits for real estate agents, and I wanted to interview her and then show the presentation that she did. So if you're watching this and you are not subscribed to our channel, please hit the subscribe button and let us know what you think about any of the tips that she has. If you have any tips that you think we might be needing to cover, please put them in the comment section. So, Chelsea, very happy to have you here today.
I know, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, first of all, I'd like to kind of get started with, before we show the viewers your presentation, where are you from? Where'd you grow up? How'd you get into real estate?
Okay, so I was originally born in DC, but I grew up in Austin. So I've been here almost my whole life, elementary, middle, high, at UT. So I got my start here in life. Always wanted to kind of leave. I was always like, I want to go to a bigger city. I want to do more. But then with the trajectory of Austin's growth, it kept getting bigger and bigger each year. And I was like, okay, I need to stick around for that.
Yeah.
So grew up here, tried and true Austinite, and here I am now.
Nice. Okay. And what did you do before you got into real estate?
Before real estate, I was actually the global e-com copywriter at Under Armour. So for the 2 years prior to real estate, that's what my career was. And then the 5 to 6 years before that, I was just in social media marketing and copywriting on a freelance scale.
Okay.
So I'd have smaller clients like juice shops, tea companies, like the most random, just like if they needed social media help, I would just retainer them out and take photos, manage, do the most.
Yep.
And then I started understanding like what I liked best, got into copywriting at Under Armour. Fast forward to the pandemic. My mom, right before then, was like, hey, you should get your real estate license. She's a broker. She was like, your friends are going to get married, have kids, all things. And I was like, no, Mom, like, that's boring. I'm not a salesperson.
Yeah.
She was like, just do it. So I started getting it. Fast forward a few months, March 2020, my whole team gets laid off at Under Armour. And I was like, well, I guess real estate is it. This is what I'm doing now. And then I quickly realized how heavily ingrained it was in marketing versus sales.
Yeah.
And that's when I really ran with it and got really excited about it.
So I have just a question about copywriting. It's something that is fascinating to me, and I've taken several online classes. What are some rules of copywriting that you know?
Be grammatically correct.
Yeah.
Most people don't, honestly, just simple stuff like knowing your theirs, your yours,
Yeah.
all of that stuff baseline. But then just understanding less is more, right?
Yeah.
The human mind in this day and age, we're so quick.
Yeah.
It needs to be quick. It needs to be easy. It needs to be simple.
Yeah.
I think sometimes people tend to lean into wanting to be different, so they come up with this outlandish vocabulary to speak to, and they don't realize that the bulk majority of people aren't going to dissect that the same way. They're going to be like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So it's like, say what you mean what you say, and make it quick.
Yeah, and I had also one of the courses I took said, write between a 3rd and 5th grade level.
Yes.
Do you use the Hemingway app?
I don't, but it is a general rule of thumb that the bulk majority, or on average, humans have a 3rd grade level of reading.
Yeah.
Which is shocking, but also gives you a nice baseline of how simple it needs to be.
Right, and to keep their attention.
Exactly.
Okay, so you got into real estate, and then you started using your skills that you learned through marketing. And how did you get to where you were? How did you get into the space of teaching it?
Yeah. So obviously so I finished taking my test finished all my classes in December of 19, got laid off in 2020 on the beginning of March or the end of March. And that's when I was like, okay, I need to make this a career, right? So I believe between that time and about October, I took the test and was kind of like, okay, there's not a lot going on just because it's COVID and it's weird. How can I start to build a book of business without needing to be out?
Yeah.
And so that's when I basically started looking around on Instagram. I was like, I'm going to build a really sick brand. And I realized that not that many agents at the time had taken advantage of Instagram whatsoever. Mm-hmm. Many agents still kind of looked like a textbook lawyer, in my opinion, just very buttoned up, headshot, everything had a sold sticker on it. And I was like, okay, I don't want to work with any of these people, so let me create a more relatable brand. So that's when I started just going to multi-million-dollar listings, going out and getting content, really showcasing homes that people didn't have access to. Because we love seeing things that are outlandish. We love seeing things that we don't think we have access to.
Yeah.
And that's basically what I wanted to show people. So I started just building this really sick brand. And when I realized how quickly it worked, and people automatically were like, oh my God, you're a multi-million-dollar agent. And it had been like a month. And I was like, I have literally done a lease. I haven't like gotten one client. But I kept it up because I noticed that the perception, people were like, wow, you're really crushing it. And I'm like, well, you have to become what you want to become. And then within the first 2 months, I had a $2 million client. So I was like, this is awesome. And then like soon after that, my friends were like, hey, how do you create these videos? Hey, how are you doing this? Hey, can you help me? And I was like, yeah. But the busier I got, the less time I had to help them. And a friend was like, why don't you turn this into a business? Like, people pay a lot of money to get this type of help. This is marketing. And I was like, you know what? That's not a bad idea. How can I create some sort of course for this? Because I don't have that one-on-one time. And it's just evolved ever since then.
Okay, so you have a, what, like Kajabi or something? Or?
Yeah,
okay.
Kajabi.
Gotcha. Let's talk about 2023 planning. I know that's something before we started. You said that you have been creating some content, creating a baseline for that. What do you recommend agents do for that?
Okay, so here's the deal. This is my humble opinion, obviously, but since I'm so ingrained in this space, I feel like I'm pretty good at predicting trends. Everyone has hopped on to the house tour reel. We all do it. Every agent, you know what I mean? Obviously, some do it better than others. Some are more creative than others, but like, everyone's doing it. So when you see the saturation like that in a marketing technique, that's when you have to ask yourself, okay, what am I going to do different? How am I going to stand out? Because now there's a ton of us doing this. Why is someone going to pick Joe over Susie or Susie over Joe? Like, we're all taking videos of the same houses. So I'm trying to help my students understand relatability, authenticity, and bringing in more of their personality. Because at the end of the day, people pick people they want to work with based on who they are. We can all help you find a house. It's not hard to get a transaction coordinator to get the deal done. Like, it's about who you are as a person and how you attract in the right people for you, but also how you get along and connect with that person, how you make them feel. So bringing that relatability, that personality also means getting creative. Like, why are you you? Is it because you dance around a house? Like, some people are like, well, that's silly. I'm like, no, that could be funny. It could be entertaining. And you never know if someone sees that and they're like, oh my God, that's the guy I want to work with. So I'm trying to help them understand themselves in a weird way, because so many people, so many real estate agents feel the need to fit in the box. And what we need to do is get out of the box. And we all need to differentiate. So that way, all of the different types of people who are coming to the city and wanting to buy homes can find the exact real estate agent they want to work with that's just like them or similar to them. So my whole point of always saying it's a collaboration, not a competition. We just have to find the right clients for ourselves. There's tons of clients. We're not fighting each other for them. We're just trying to attract in the right ones. And by being ourselves and bringing like some sort of creative or passionate edge, and that could be if you like to ride motorcycles, like bring that in. Park some motorcycles outside of an open house, or bring your motorcycle and have that in your video. It can be that small. But it just needs to be you.
Well, right, and so we went through a YouTube curriculum, and I put my agents through, and the YouTube coach was like, look, whatever it is that you're into, like, go for that. If you're into like Christian church, do that. If you're, if you're LBGT, then go with that. And like, black-owned businesses or single moms or, whatever that niche is. Like you said, motorcycles, whatever is it. So it's kind of drilling down into what it is you're passionate about, and then kind of leading your niche through there. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Exactly. And I think we have been so conditioned to believe that the very things that make us unique and us aren't things we're allowed to bring into our professional lives. And in this day and age, that's a mistake. That's exactly what we need to be bringing to it. And to your point, you can be Christian, LGBTQ, a single mom, and like think. Our first thought is, oh, well, if we showcase that part of ourselves, then the people who aren't pro that or don't like that aren't going to work with us. That's what you want, though, because you want the people who align with what your values are. Versus someone who's going to use you and then be like, oh, like, we don't really mesh. Like, I'm not down with what you're talking about. That's more awkward.
Yeah, and I think that's it's not true that you're only going to alienate the people that have certain prejudices, about certain things.
Exactly.
People like, I hate motorcycles or whatever, right? Like, most people. You're gonna only alienate the people you want to alienate.
Exactly. Yes. The ones who have that strong of a disconnect with it are like, absolutely not. It's like, great. That would be stressful to work with you because you don't like that so much. So like, let me bring in people who either don't care or like it,
or people that are passionate about it as well. Yeah. No, I love that. And so that's kind of your theme for 2023 is that the content, how to align yourself around your niche, your passion, and then creating content past that?
Yeah, it's really about just feeling so comfortable in your own skin that you don't feel like you have to show up so tailored anymore. Yeah. Because Instagram content historically has been relatively tailored, and I still see, when some of the other luxury agents get these huge listings, right? We are accustomed to getting these like super high quality videos with drone footage and like all this stuff, and we're talking about it. And that can be great, especially for a website or a listing profile. But when it comes to Instagram, I'm not going to sit there and watch that 5-minute video that you just spent like $500 on, right? Yeah. I want to watch you literally just show up in a house, be yourself, tell me a little, like give me the few things I even need to know if I want to reach out to you, and move on. Because it's also about quick, short format content on Instagram now, right? We only have 3 seconds to attract anyone's attention. 3 seconds before they move on. And if you don't get it in the first 3 seconds, the other 75 seconds or the other 10 seconds even are irrelevant.
Right.
So making sure you're hooking them in, being yourself, feeling good in your skin, not feeling like you need to put on makeup every time you show up on a story, right? Like I woke up this morning and was like, I still sound sick from last week. I look like this. I'm going to the gym. But here's a quick market update because it's relevant and this is what I look like on a Monday.
Absolutely. Where can people find you?
So you can find me on Instagram at Chelsea Bucklew, so it's just my name, or you can go to, or actually shoot me an email at howdy@thesocialbrandacademy.com. Those are the 2 easiest ways to get a hold of me.
Okay, and stay tuned because this presentation she gave our agents about a month ago is really good, and you're going to get a lot of information from it.
Hi, friends. It's nice to meet you. My name is Chelsea Bucklew. I'm a real estate agent at Den Property Group, and I also teach a masterclass on how to build your brand on Instagram to get leads. A few of you Spyglass kids are in my class, so I was really excited to come here. You guys have such an amazing brokerage. I have talked to lots of brokerages, and I have a lot of students at different brokerages, and you guys by far some of the coolest. So you picked a good one. So as you see, I run the Social Brand Academy. It basically emulates what I did when I got into real estate 2.5 years ago. My background is social media marketing and copywriting. I was the global e-com copywriter at Under Armour for a few years before the pandemic. Then I got laid off, and I got into real estate. And when I started, I remember looking on Instagram, as us millennials do for anything, and I was like, where are all the cool agents? And I really couldn't find anyone who stood out or looked different than our typical version of the headshot, the agent that you know and see. But I was like, how is anybody supposed to pick me over any of these other people when everyone looks the same? So that's when I started brainstorming ways to stand out. Hence, Social Brand Academy came after I built an entire brand, started getting multi-million-dollar leads off of Instagram, and the rest was history. Next slide, please. Okay, so here's why most real estate agents fail at building their brand on Instagram. And really quickly, let me walk you through the importance. We'll touch on that on a different slide, but also building your brand on Instagram, you guys, I always say build your brand, not your brokerage. And I mean that in the best of ways. Your brokerage is awesome, but your brand is a direct representation of your brokerage as well. And if anything, your brand is going to help build your brokerage because with that association, so long as it's positive, it's going to let people know like, oh, so-and-so works at Spyglass. Like, they're so cool, therefore Spyglass must be cool. So by building your own brand, not only can you take it with you if you leave or if you turn into a different type of entrepreneur and start another business, you can take this brand that you've created and translate it into so many different things outside of real estate if you so choose, or into different realms of real estate as you go forward. So it's really important to build your brand, not your brokerage, because you as the individual is who people want to work with, right? These days, we don't see as many clients saying like, hey, I like have to work with a Compass agent because my mom did that and my dad did that, my grandpa did that, and like I'm just so brand loyal. We don't really have that anymore, especially not in some of these younger generations. But what we do have is authenticity, relatability, and people liking people. So if people like you, they're gonna work with you, but they can't really like you if they don't know that much about you and if you haven't put yourself out there. So that's why it's so important to build your brand and to be authentic and showcase who you are as a person, because that's what's going to attract these potential clients to you. So, oh wait, sorry. No, you're fine. So again, here's why most realtors fail at building their brand on Instagram. You don't know how or where to start. This is a big one, guys. Most people are like, I totally understand the benefit of Instagram or social media as a whole, right? Like we all get it. It's free marketing. But most people are like, I have no idea where to start. Like, what do I do? What's my brand font? What's my name? What's my colors? What's this? And we get really on our heads about it. I always say start small and evolve, because my brand evolved. I mean, it's been 2.5 years now, but like over the first year, I was changing colors, I was changing fonts, I was changing names like week after week. So you don't have to come and like choose this hard branding right now today and stick to it and feel like, oh, I only have one chance at this. Like you can evolve over time the same way that you evolve as a human being, and that's okay. So just start somewhere, start small, start brainstorming, and eventually you'll get to where you're supposed to be with it. It's overwhelming and you don't have the time or you can't make time for it, right? So when people think of building an Instagram, I think everybody's mind goes to, well, I don't have any followers. Okay, so everyone started with 0 followers. So that's the number one thing to keep in mind. But followers don't equal clients necessarily. Most of the people who find me on Instagram will DM me and I'll go look at their profile. They're not even following me. They've just been watching my stuff, engaging with it, and then they end up reaching out. So your followers number is not the most important metric to look at, but the whole goal with that is just you have to make the time to start somewhere. You see the benefit of what you do today in 90 days. So 90 days from now, if you didn't start today, you're still gonna be exactly where you are today. But if you start today, in 90 days, you could probably have 2 or 3 more clients than you had before. You don't know what to post or have a content strategy. This one's also a big one. It's one thing to get on Instagram and just start posting, like, here's my kid's birthday, here's my best friend's bachelorette party, it's Christmas, I ate this lasagna for dinner, and that's great, all story worthy. But at the end of the day, you need to have a strategy in place. You need to have consistency. To Ryan's point earlier on YouTube, the algorithm picks up on similarity, right? So if you have a content strategy and that content strategy is to post every day the same type of content, eventually the algorithm picks up on that and it will start shooting it out to the right people. And by the right people, I mean, we all have a niche here in real estate, whether we know it or not. There's some of us who prefer working with first-time home buyers. There's some of us who prefer working with investors. And those are all niches. And that's not to say we don't work with everyone, right? I'm sure most of us don't say no to deals. But it's to say we have to kind of specialize ourselves in something to be able to tell the algorithm, hey, here's the type of client I'm looking for. And this is who I want you to show my stuff to. And these people, I don't know who they are, they don't know who I am yet, but I need you to send them to me. And so that's why it's so important to come up with this content strategy, because that's what keeps you focused, organized, and it's what helps you get more traction. And then last, it feels awkward and uncomfortable. I'd say that almost every student I had at some point has said, I know that this is important, but like I hate taking pictures of myself. I hate showing up on camera. I hate the way my voice sounds. Well, I don't think anyone likes any of those things. I will watch my stories back and cringe, and then I'm like, okay, am I out here to make money or am I out here to judge myself? And I'm sure we're all out here to make money. So it's really important to understand that, yes, everything feels awkward and uncomfortable when you start, and nobody likes talking to their camera, I promise you that. But once you start, not only do you start to feel a little less uncomfortable, you start to get the confidence, and you start to understand it doesn't have to be perfect. You can just like take a story in your car and be like, hey guys, headed to the gym today. Then I have a full day of showings. I hope everyone's having a good Thursday. Like, bye. And post that, because just showing up is better than overthinking it and not doing anything at all. So try to keep in mind that even though a lot of us fear judgment, which is totally normal and totally human, at the end of the day, if the people who are judging us aren't making us money, they don't matter. Next. Okay, so like I said earlier, build your brand, not your brokerage. And again, this is not to say that your brokerage is not an important part of your business. It's huge, right? But you can't take your brokerage with you. And as much as we all think we'll stay at our brokerages forever, and a lot of us will stay in places that we really enjoy for a long time. You will. Like I said, your brokerage is cool, so I'm sure you will all stay. But just in case something happens and you have to leave, you still have that brand that you built with you. Because at the end of the day, as real estate agents, we are entrepreneurs. We work together. It's a collaboration, not a competition. We are colleagues. But we are entrepreneurs, and we are building our own businesses as a sole entrepreneur. So it's really important to build that brand. You want that credibility. Amir is a great example. He is known on TikTok, and people now see him on Instagram. And because they find him, they're like, oh, he works at Spyglass. Spyglass must be cool. The same with Cindy, right? She's one of my students and very good friends. She has an awesome brand. Everyone knows that she's a real estate agent, but also a foodie. That's great brand recognition. They can also go see in her bio that she works at Spyglass. That's amazing for Spyglass. So it's a win-win if you think about it, because you're helping build the brand of your brokerage, but you're also building your own business. Gives your brokerage more credibility, and then it can translate across business ideas to come. So none of us know if we're going to be real estate agents forever. And even if we are, maybe we want to do something on the side later. And that's why it's really important to build this brand now, because you can leverage this brand for businesses down the road. And so maybe you're staying a real estate agent, right? So you don't want to completely change your Instagram over to your DIY balloon making business. But what you can do is cross promote it. So you can create a new account. You have a nice following or a lot of really loyal people on your real estate account. And you can be like, hey guys, now I do this DIY balloon decorating, and anybody who has an event at their house, I can come do this for you. And then you're helping leverage yourself from your previous brand to build a new brand. And that's also a really awesome component. And then it's just empowering, right? Like, we all feel empowered when we know that we're actually helping other people. We're actually impacting people's lives. And I know that sounds like aggressive for like real estate, but at the end of the day, like I'm sure most of you guys know, we're kind of therapists too. We do impact the lives of our clients, whether it's on Instagram or in person. People find us, come to us, use us because they trust us, they value our opinions, they either think we're cool, we're fun to work with. All of my clients that find me on Instagram are like, I wanted to work with you because I thought that A, we could be friends, or B, you could help me find the types of friends I wanted or the activities I wanted to do. Like, we are similar and we connect that way. So it's really empowering to hear that from people who are like, yeah, I found you and I chose you. Out of this sea of real estate agents, to his point on SEO, there's so many of us in Austin, but to be chosen by someone on the internet based on their perception of me on my stories, my highlights, my videos, feels really good. You're like, wow, I'm actually doing something to help people. I'm doing something right. So the empowering part of it will keep you going. Next. Okay, so here's why it works, right? Because I know a lot of people are like, does it really work? Am I really going to get clients? Like, I did it for 4 days and I didn't get a client. I'm like, well, let's try 4 more. It's a business tool with metrics, y'all. So it's not just, like I said, it's not just about the followers. It's not just about like looking cute on the internet. You have metrics on your Instagram, so long as you're a business profile or a creator. Pro tip, I make people pay for this information. Be a creator, because you get better music and people will like you more. It's a business tool with metrics. So you can go to your dashboard. You can see a lot of analytics about what's happening with your content, your profile, if you're up from 30 days ago, if you're down from 30 days ago. Follows, unfollows, your best performing posts, right? And that's really important, because I like to call those unicorn posts. The posts that usually pop off are a really good indicator of what you need to do more of, because it shows you what people engage with. I see people, they'll do one video and they're like, oh my God, it did so well. And then they like literally go right field and do like a video completely different and it flops. And they're like, what? I don't understand. And I'm like, well, people liked this one video. So that's your cue to keep making that type of video. It builds likability and trust. So this goes into building the brand side of things. People work with people they like, or people work with people that they are like. So either don't become, be yourself. But either clients will find you because they like you and they want to be like you, or because they are similar to you and they can relate and they feel connected to you. And that is the core of this business, right? I always say we're not really in the business of sales, we're in the business of marketing. And we're marketing who we are to showcase how we can help them. Education, inspiration, and entertainment. There are 3 reasons people get on the internet. Think about why you scroll on Instagram and TikTok at night for hours on end until you realize you should go to bed. It's because you're either being educated, you're learning something, you're being inspired, or you're entertained. You should be 1 to 2 of these different things, right? So my platform is, might be all 3 because sometimes I'm just kind of wild, but like mostly educational and inspirational. I like to help uplift other agents like yourselves and like empower y'all to know that everyone can do this, right? There's enough to go around. It isn't just a few of us who are capable. We just decided we were gonna do it and we did it. And so once you decide you wanna do it, you can do it too. But educating and inspiring is really important to me because I like to make people feel good. I like to make people understand their power and know that they can do whatever they wanna do. And then authenticity and relatability ties back into likability and trust. People want to see who you really are. So don't feel like you need to build this brand that's like super extraordinary and super different from who you are. People are like, well, I don't have any cool talents. I don't do anything fun. I don't sound like you on the internet. And like, no, you don't want to be like me. You don't want to be like anyone else. I promise you, even if you like picking flowers on the weekends, that is a niche. Even if you like riding a motorcycle and getting a new tattoo every weekend, that is a niche. And that can correlate with real estate because I guarantee you there's someone out there buying a house who rides motorcycles and gets tattoos. So building the authenticity and relatability around that showcases like, hey, I can help you buy a house, which honestly is not the hardest part of everything. We can all look on MLS and help people find homes. But what is hard is being easy to work with, being an enjoyable person to be around and to relate and really make people feel seen and heard so that they don't get upset about certain things happening in deals. I promise you, when people like you, they're way less rude about negotiations, etc. And they're like, okay, I trust you. And you're like, thank you so much. I have your best interests at heart. Next. Okay, so what can you do today, right? Because I'm sure some of you are still like, okay, but where do I start with this? First things first, like I said, think you can. It's a choice. You have to decide if you want to be successful on the internet. And that's not to say you can't be successful with traditional ways of marketing like cold calling, door knocking, flyer passing out, all of which costs a lot of money and time, by the way. But if you think you can do that, if that works for you, it will work for you. I always say, if you think you can, you will. I don't think that works for me. I've never picked up a phone in my life and called anyone about real estate. But that's because I don't believe it'll work. I'm like, if you call me, I will hang up on you, so I expect the same. But what I do think I can do is influence people on the internet and showcase who I really am and that they will reach out to me. And so since I think I can, they do. So today, start thinking you can, y'all. Whether it's YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, pick a platform. You can like translate all the different videos you do onto all the platforms anyways, but pick one, think you can, and you will. Stand out. Like I said, pick your niche. It should literally be who you are. Don't go crazy with this. Like my niche for the clients that I'm looking for are millennials from the East and West Coast, predominantly in tech. Well, I've been in the tech industry. I am a millennial. And I have traveled to California and New York a lot growing up. So I can really relate to those types of people. That's who I help the most of. That's who usually finds me. But also it's people who enjoy the things that I like to do. Going to the gym, eating out at new restaurants, going to really unnecessary bougie places like Soho House. Like they like that stuff. And so when I post about it, they will reach out to me. And then lastly, be consistent. You can post those super high quality drone flying in videos of your listings once a month, and it will not do nearly as well as posting a nice, grainy iPhone video every single day. And the reason is because it's consistency. And again, back to the YouTube algorithm. Like, the more you post, the more the algorithm gets a chance to learn you, know you, and be like, oh, they're a real estate agent. I'm going to put them in front of people who are searching for Austin real estate, because that's what they do. So be consistent. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be consistent. And if you can do this, you can literally 10x your lead gen in 90 days. And then here are some questions I want to leave you guys with, so that way you have some food for thought to go home with. What weighs you down? And what I mean by that, because I've worked with over 50 real estate agents at this point in my masterclass, and a lot of the feedback I get is like, I'm scared to show up on the internet. I'm worried about people being annoyed that I'm spamming them with real estate stuff. I'm worried that people are going to judge me. I don't have the confidence for this, right? So like, think hard, what's weighing you down? Because I can almost guarantee it's something like that. You either don't believe you can, or you're worried about what other people are going to think. And what we have to remember, and it's a hard one, keep in mind, I wasn't just born this way, but what you have to remember is it doesn't matter what other people think. This is a huge one. If they're not here to help us grow, then they're either just helping engagement by like sending our stuff to their friends and talking shit, or they are unfollowing us, and that's perfectly fine, because we don't want them to see our information anyways. We don't want them to see our content. They're not going to buy with us. They're not going to sell with us. They don't like us, or they're just not entertained. And that's fine. We want engaging people in our audience. We want people who actually want to see, who actually want to talk to us about these things. So the weed out of followers dropping off is just part of the process, and it is totally fine. In fact, it's wanted. You don't want dead followers who just sit there and don't do anything. So really, really get honest with yourselves. What weighs you down? Next, what could you achieve in 6 months if you started today? I'm going to use my little friend and helper over here, Natalie. She's only been in real estate for about 6 months, and this girl has absolutely crushed it. I won't go into details, but if she didn't think she could, when she randomly showed up to one of my meetings 6 months ago and said, hi, I'm Natalie, I'm a new agent, and I saw you on Instagram, so I came. And I was like, by yourself? And she was like, yeah. I was like, damn, the balls. She would not be where she is today. So clearly she believed in herself. She started 6 months ago, and she's honestly like surpassed me in a lot of things. And then what's your 90-day goal? So like I said, what you do today, you see the benefit of in 90 days. So think about what you want to see in 90 days, right? That's hitting us back up into 2023. And I'm sure we all want to hit the ground running in 2023, because we're all confused about the market right now, and we're hopeful that next year's going to be better. So what do we want to see? What do we need to do now to get there in January? Well, we need to start building out our content strategy, building our brand. So come 2023, people start to know who we are and know what we do. The best way to predict your future is to create it. I'm a huge believer in this. If you think you can, you will. If you think you can't, you will not. And then a subtle plug for my masterclass. So I'm actually not teaching my masterclass anymore. Those students of mine will be transitioned into a monthly membership, which is going to be on my 4 C's to getting leads. So that's content, connection, consistency, and close. So each week we're going to go over that cadence. The content week is going to be a live Zoom for everyone to join, and we're going to help each other batch content, come up with your content calendar, come up with your strategy, and then on top of that, connection, consistency, and close, those will all be pre-recorded. And then I do email coaching, Instagram coaching, and I provide a whole library of tutorials and videos for you to go back through and learn exactly what you need to know in order to build your brand on Instagram. So if you're interested in that at all, I'm pre-enrolling for November, and if you sign up before it starts, or if you sign up today, you'll get a free one-on-one with me as well. So thank you all for having me, and I hope to see you on Instagram.
Also, real quickly, I have a QR code back there to sign up for her course, if you're interested.
Do you have any questions?
Can you give your opinion about when it's appropriate, or is it ever appropriate to boost posts?
Great question. So the foundation of my teaching is all about free Instagram marketing, just because I don't believe we need to be paying enormous amounts of money to get clients. And that's because I have never paid, or I think I tried to boost my first like real estate post of like, hi, I'm a real estate agent, blah, blah, blah. And like, it did nothing. Like, but I only put like $5 on it. But still, I was like, let me see what this does. Unless you just have the capital and like you don't care. Like I always say, like, don't expect to get that money back. But do I think you need to do it? Absolutely not. I think that being consistent will get you all the boosts you need to be seen by the right people. Is that helpful? But if you want to do it, try it out. See what happens. Yeah.
Other than your phone, what tools do you use? Like, do you use a selfie stick? Do you have one of the lights? You know, I mean, what tools should we be using?
That's a really good question too. So, I'll start by saying that I use the free version of every editing app that I use. People always say like, well, you probably pay for all these things. No, I don't. I'm super cheap. I use InShot for my video editing, and I use Tezza, T-E-Z-Z-A, for just like highlights and like brightening things. When it comes to selfie sticks, I actually bought a really cool selfie like thing a while ago, like a year and a half ago, and I have no idea how to use it. I have tried to figure it out. I got my like CTO of a boyfriend to try and figure it out. And it just like spins around, and so I can't figure it out. So no, I use my phone, I use my hand. I have a good handle on how to keep it steady. Here's another pro tip that people pay me for. Don't walk around a house tour like this. It's gonna be so bumpy, and nobody's gonna watch that. What you need to do is you need to go to each room that you want to showcase, which I should only be 3 to 6 areas, y'all. I do not need to see empty rooms and empty bathrooms. Keep that in mind. And just stay still. Do a nice pan. And then you can speed it up. It makes it look even smoother. So no on the selfie stick. And then ring light. I only use a ring light when I'm like filming a reel at my house. So most of my content is out and about in houses, like house tours. But if I'm filming some sort of educational content or like trying my hand at TikTok, which I haven't figured out yet, so thank God for this guy, I don't use a ring light. I use it more so for Zoom meetings, to be honest. But you can get them for like $100 on Amazon if you want one, and I do think that they help for meetings. Is that helpful? Yeah.
I just want to clarify something. You mentioned consistency, and then you also mentioned, doing this thing regularly is way better than this amazing thing once in a while. So what I want to be clear on is when you talk about consistency, do you mean, let's say that I choose home tours as the thing I do? That is something that should happen every single day, or does something should happen every single day?
Both. So consistency in your content and brand strategy, AKA what is your value? What are you here to teach me, show me, tell me, right? So let's use home tours as an example. If your niche is going to be showcasing home tours, or if that's your content strategy, for instance, it doesn't make sense to show like 4 home tours and then show yourself eating at Chewy's, because that is going to really screw up the algorithm's going to be like, I'm confused. What are you doing? I don't know. And it's going to like, your engagement's going to be wonky. But also consistency in posting that every day. So I call these content buckets, because I actually think you can have up to 2 or 3 different content buckets if you so choose. But it is really overwhelming. It sounds less overwhelming than it is, because then you have to toggle. Like every other post has to be a different type of content. So if you're doing home tours and then market updates, right? Home tour today, market update tomorrow, then the home tour, then the market update. You have to be really consistent at making sure you have that content backlogged and ready to go. Because maybe you didn't make it to a home tour and you're like, well, I'm just gonna do a market update, and then your grid looks kind of weird. And I know that like aesthetics shouldn't matter as much as it does, but humans are very visual, pattern-oriented people. We have an expectation for each other, and when we don't meet that expectation, we get confused. And we're more likely to be like, oh, I don't trust that person. So you want to stay consistent because you want to build that trust. So staying consistent with the home tours day to day is important, but also staying consistent with it. Don't just post a home tour once a week, because you're only going to get once a week return on that. Does that?
So does everything else just muddy that?
Does everything else what?
Just muddy that? So let's say, again, using the example of the home tour, that's my thing, I do it every single day, somehow I manage to be really, really good at that. Also, there's my dog, there's my new tattoo, there's my flowers. Is all that stuff gonna muddy it? I feel confused about the consistency of like
Being a real person? Yeah. Okay, so great question. There we go. Answer. Yeah. So your stories should be a full showcase of what you're doing, who you are, what you love, right? I put random stuff on my stories. Sometimes it's related to like I posted about coming here today. That's relevant. Yesterday I posted walking with my boyfriend's dog. Not relevant, but my boyfriend has a dog. Now you know about it. So maybe you have a dog. People reach out to that. They're like, oh my God, is she a lab? Oh my God, is she a Weimaraner? And I'm like, no one knows. She's crazy though. So it's like, that opens up a conversation to be had. It gives people a reason to reach out. Now, do I think that you should be posting home tours and then reels of your dog? No, that will confuse the algorithm. If that makes you happy, sure. But are you gonna see the same benefit as if you were posting consistent home tours? Probably not. You can, however, throw in time to time a learn about me reel, right? Like you can do a little like life lately and just do a reel with like clips, video footage of like you on vacation, your dogs, you getting a new tat, whatever, and then being like, can't wait to help you all find your next home, right? That's fine. Will it get the same amount of engagement? Maybe it gets more. Maybe then someone's like, oh wow, I really like to get to know this girl. That could be helpful too. And feel free to test your own algorithm, y'all. It does not stay the same. It is always evolving. Therefore, the content you produce for the next month and a half that might really work out for you might not work out as much in 6 months. You have to evolve too. So for me, for instance, when I started doing the home tour reels back in the day, like 2.5 years ago, no one was doing them yet. Not a lot of people. So it was very original. People were like, oh my God, I love seeing you spin in a house. And I'm like, I don't know why, but like I'll keep doing it. And then everyone caught on because they're like, oh, this is what people want to see. So now it makes you sit back and say, okay, home tours are obviously important. How do I make them different? How do I stand out now amongst the sea of real estate agents who are doing the home tour? Like, tell me how many times you've seen a realtor's reel start like this. And you're like, this is so stupid. Like, stop doing this. Like, let's change it up. That was cute 2 years ago. Now it's kind of just like redundant. I don't need to see another realtor invite me into a home. I have MLS access. I can get in myself. So that's where you have to ask yourself, how do I evolve? How do I change? How do I stand out now? And sometimes there's a little learning curve with the engagement on that. You might not see as much engagement, but if you stay consistent at the change, eventually it'll ramp back up. So metrics are important, numbers are important, views are important, but I've had students get one to two leads off of a reel that only got 200 views and then nothing off of a reel that got 30,000. So you have to keep in mind, it's just all about, is the right person seeing my reel today? Is that helpful?
Yeah, so, well, I think so. So it comes down to the content that you put in the right place, meaning it's just a picture, or it's a story, or it's a reel.
You're going to test it out and see what works, right? Right now, Instagram is all about reels.
Yeah, so to his point, I tell my students, I'm like, unless you're just feeling cute, don't post a picture. Like, it's not really gonna do much for you. What you can do, however, is post a cover photo on your reels if you want it to stay on your grid. I do that on almost all of my posts.
Are you talking about like the little bubbles right above your grid and then under your...
No, that's highlights. So what I'm talking about, and I teach this in my class, is basically when you create a reel, you can either, yeah, Amir, hook her up. Thank you so much. You can either put a photo on top of your reel, like a cover photo when you're editing it, so that that's what sits on your grid feed. So that when you look on your grid, someone's grid, the aesthetic is, it's still a photo of me in my cowboy hat, which is my brand. But the reel starts and I could be in a different outfit in just a random house. So people on reels are seeing that reel come through. But if you come to my grid first, it's not just like a random like action photo of me in this house that most people's reels are. It's an actual nice photo. And that's what I find really important and what works for me. Did he help you?
Yes, the visual. Yeah.
It did? Feel free to like ask me more stuff after too as well. I'm happy to show you and help clarify. Sign up for my class. Any other questions?
All right, we're back. That was a great presentation. Before we leave, are there any parting thoughts, tips, tricks that agents should focus on for 2023 that we haven't covered yet?
Yeah, so it kind of goes into everything I've been saying, but I feel like a lot of the agents I run into have a lot of imposter syndrome, right? And so whenever we're looking around comparing ourselves to other agents, feeling like, oh, we haven't done a $10 million deal yet, so we can't market ourselves as luxury, etc. Just remember to lean back into who you are, right? You don't have to be this big name to be super successful. I decided I was a luxury agent before I had done one transaction, and that's how I got my first transaction. But stop feeling so much the imposter syndrome and really lean back into what's my value, who am I, how can I help, and here I am.
Yeah, that's good advice. And look, here's the deal. When you're because you're not lying to people by showing them multi-million-dollar homes, and you can be just as curious and ask questions that, in fact, you almost have an advantage because maybe there's some stuff you don't know about this luxury home that you're gonna ask a question that maybe an experienced luxury agent wouldn't ask. So love that. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you for all you do.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.